What up? Pray you all are well as you are sitting down to take this in. We are going into Genesis like it's the first time. We're starting in Genesis chapter 39. It's good to go back into these stories just to get a sense of the essence of the Most High. See how He was dealing directly with our forefathers. Let's see what we get from it this time. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him from the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. So we're picking up right where Joseph was sold off by his brothers. He was sold off to the Ishmaelites. They took him down to Egypt. And now Potiphar, the captain of the guard, has just purchased him from the Ishmaelites. Verse 2. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Verse 3. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. Verse 5. And it came to pass from that time that he had made him overseer in the house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in his house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hands. Verse 9. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept anything back from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So Joseph got to explain to Potiphar's wife, how come this is wrong? She seen him and just straight up, just like that, was like, lie with me. And he was like, nah, your husband committed everything he has to me. He ain't keep anything back from me except you, because you were his wife. Verse 10. And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time, that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled forth. Verse 14. That she called unto the men of her house, and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us. He hath come in unto me to lie with me. And I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled, and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. Verse 17. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. So now Joseph is laid up in the prison because Potiphar's wife couldn't control her lust to the point where she saw fit to punish him for not laying with him. Adultery is adultery. Whether you're the married one or not, if you partake in it, you are guilty of it. Verse 21. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Verse 22. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. So he got sold into slavery to the Ishmaelites, came down to Egypt, ended up in the captain of the guard's house. Then that started going south, ended up in jail. And while he in jail, the keeper of the jail, the overseer of the jail, put him in charge of everybody. So now he's the leader basically over the prisoners in the jail. This is what we call favor. This is divine intervention. This is how we see how the Most High move. Joseph has not been worried in any of these situations since he's been sold off. He's good. He know the Most High got him in his hands. Verse 23. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. In that which he did, the Lord made it prosper. That's the end of chapter 39. So as I was saying, like basically how he described Potiphar's situation, how Potiphar put everything in his house under Joseph's watch, because they can see when the Most High Spirit rests on someone. The keeper of the prison ended up doing the same thing, putting everything under his watch. It's because they know he's a just man. Let's keep going to chapter 40. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. Verse 3. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, in the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. Verse 5. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. And Joseph came in unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. He asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of the Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. Verse 10. And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was though it had budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. Verse 11. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Verse 13. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head, and restore thee unto thine place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner when thou was his butler. Verse 14. But think on me when it shall be well with me, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. So basically, Joseph was saying, once he restore you back to your position, don't forget about me and get me out of jail. Verse 15. For indeed, I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. Verse 17. And in the uppermost basket there was all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. The 3 bakers are 3 days. Verse 19. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup unto Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. That's the end of chapter 40. So in there, Joseph was in jail with the butler and the baker. Both of them had dreams. The butler asked Joseph to interpret his dream off GP. He didn't have to be convinced. The butler got a good report on his dream. His interpretation was a positive interpretation. At that point, the baker decided he wanted to now trust it. He wanted to now get his interpretation. But before, he wasn't too worried about it. When he got his interpretation, it turned out that it actually was not a good thing. It was evil. It was interpreted that he's going to end up dying in 3 days. And it turns out that that's exactly what happened. In 3 days, the butler was brought out and restored to his butlership. I'm guessing because he had faith in the man of God to interpret his dream accurately. And then in 3 days, the other gentleman who did not show faith until he was shown the sign received the negative one, and that also came to pass. This has been Like It's the First Time, Genesis chapter 39 and 40. I do hope that you enjoyed. Peace.